It's Tuesday, November 4th.
The cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
Concerns about potential government cuts as Prime Minister Mark Carney tables his government's first budget.
A new warning from the city's Auditor General about Lansdowne 2.0's hefty price tag and potentially unforeseen costs.
And more concerns over a potential exodus of Quebec doctors over a controversial provincial bill. Your Morning Ottawa starts right now.
Good morning, happy Tuesday. I'm Rosie Edda.
I'm Will Aiello.
And I'm Melissa Lamb.
You were just letting us know that we might have a little friend visiting us on Sunday.
Yes, we might have some snow. It's showing up in the models now, and it's showing up in our model on Sunday, so I will give you the full details on that, and hopefully you're better than me and already have your winter tires on because I procrastinated and now I can't get until the end of this month.
Yeah, the lineups are pretty long
They
for
are.
something like that.
Absolutely.
Right? And I know that folks are going to be waiting, possibly with bated breath, about the federal budget. You're going to get into that right now.
I certainly am. The highly anticipated federal budget comes out today. Mark Carney's first since becoming Prime Minister. And here in the capital, public service workers are expressing concern around job security. The Public Service Alliance of Canada has warned about a reduction of 70,000 public sector jobs. The Prime Minister has said this will be a budget of austerity while promising generational investment. Where that money will come from to fund that investment is still not entirely clear. Until then, tens of thousands of government workers wait anxiously.
Definitely some cuts, it seems like, for the government at the federal level. I think the writing was on the wall before the election on that. I don't know what the severity is going to be. We have no real idea.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today. With the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority, they will need support from opposition members to pass it. If they don't get that support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. And a reminder, you can watch live coverage of the budget today starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
Confusion over multiple different speed limits across Jean d'Arc Boulevard has many Orleans residents calling for change.
What we'd really like to see is the lanes narrowed to be able to actually do something to physically control the speed. We have a new roundabout in here, and the signs say 30, but the road design also forces you to slow down.
Along the 7.5 kilometer stretch of Jean d'Arc Boulevard, speeds shift back and forth between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, including school zone changes that depend on the time of day. The city now wants to cut the number of speed zones from 6 to 3 with consistent 40 and 50 kilometer an hour limits to simplify driving in the area. If approved, the new limit would be in effect at all times.
Ottawa police are looking for a man allegedly involved in a voyeurism incident at Bayshore Shopping Centre last month. Police say the suspect filmed a woman who was in a change room at the mall on the afternoon of October 9th. He's described as a man believed to be Middle Eastern and around 30 to 40 years old with a beard. At the time of the incident, he was wearing a blue T-shirt, dark-colored pants, and boots.
A 34-year-old resident of Kingston is facing several charges after a drug trafficking investigation. Officers executed a search warrant at a home on Ford Street last week. Police arrested one person and seized cash, crystal meth, LSD, and other illegal drugs.
Tributes are pouring in for three-time Oscar nominee Diane Ladd, who died yesterday in California.
Well, honey, I sure would hate to have breakfast with you every morning of my life.
Ladd had a long career on stage and TV before her Oscar-nominated role in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. She earned another Best Supporting nod for Wild at Heart in 1990. A year later, Ladd and Laura Dern became the only mother-daughter duo to receive Oscar nominations for the same film, Rambling Rose. In a statement, Dern wrote, "We were blessed to have her. She is flying with her angels now."
Residents of Kemple Retirement Living presented the Canada Aviation and Space Museum with 883 Izzy dolls.
We had a knitting club on Tuesday and we all got together and we all knit.
The dolls are named after Master Corporal Mark Isfeld, who was killed by a landmine on tour in Croatia 30 years ago.
The museum will now send them to an organization that will pack them in medical kits and distribute the dolls to children in disaster zones.
Wow.
What a nice story.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
It's so nice too, right? Like obviously having it named after and then going to the children.
And beautiful handcrafted dolls as well. 883. That must have taken some time to knit all
There you
those
go.
dolls.
So much love, right?
Yeah,
In every stitch.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure the children who get them will love them just as much as well.
Absolutely. All right, what do you got for us today? Because it was only moments before the show you gave me the S word warning.
Yeah, do you have your tires on? Because we have snow coming up. Not so bad today, and don't worry, no snow in the forecast as we head into your afternoon today. It's actually going to be quite warm. Sitting at 4 degrees already here in the city, so fairly mild to start off your morning. Similar temperatures throughout the region, 6 already in Trenton, 3 in Brockville, Kingston, Pembroke, not registering this hour at 6 as well to start off your day in Montreal. So if we see some scattered showers, it will be early this morning. So there's still a 30% chance of those scattered showers till about 8, 9 o'clock, and then it will clear up. We will see that sunshine into your day ahead, but very windy. Those strong wind gusts we saw yesterday continuing into your day today. So west winds gusting 30 to 50 kilometers an hour. You can see this is at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Still very windy into your afternoon forecast. Everything will kind of calm down around supper time tonight and be much calmer into your overnight and into your day tomorrow as well. So we really just have to deal with those strong winds this morning into your late afternoon, and then it should start to calm down later on this evening. In your forecast for today, sifting through your closet, what should you grab? Well, I would grab an umbrella just in case we still see those scattered showers on your way into work, because there is a chance that we could see some spotty showers till about 9 a.m. After that, we will get to see sunshine into the afternoon. So a beautiful fall day in the forecast for us. Temperatures reaching a high of 10 degrees, same with in Pembroke, 11 for Bancroft, Trenton, as well as down in Kingston. 10 is your daytime high in Cornwall for today. Similar temperatures at Gatineau. 10 is also the high, slightly cooler in Kittigan-Zibi with a high of 8 and only 5 over in Mont-Tremblant. So here's where we could see some snow in the forecast for us. As we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, today, tomorrow, we will see some spotty showers, but then Thursday is the day that we will see sunshine, but cooler temperatures below seasonal. So we only have a couple of warm days. Tomorrow, we could see upwards of 15 millimeters of rain. So we are expecting periods of rain throughout the afternoon as we head towards the end of the work week. The weekend is when we could start to see some snow, and that's because temperatures dropping below that freezing mark as we head into Saturday, Sunday. Sunday, we're expecting rain in the day. If it continues to rain into the overnight and drop below that freezing, there's a good chance that we could see some flurries in the forecast. So be prepared that we could see a little bit of snow in the next 7 days. On your roads this morning, here's a live look at your time saver traffic. No issues to report. Traffic is looking nice and easy this hour. It is smooth sailing east to west. Now let's check out your TSN must-see moment.
Hey there, Lindsay Hamilton in the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Monday. And for this one, we are taking a trip to Indiana. It is the Bucks and Pacers. Final seconds of the fourth here. Tied up at 1:15. And Giannis Antetokounmpo working the clock, nails the fadeaway J at the buzzer. 33 points, 13 rebounds for Giannis. The Greek Freak just silencing the crowd and claiming your must-see moment. And hot off that win, the Bucks will be in Toronto tonight to face the Raptors on TSN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's all for now from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a tremendous Tuesday.
Well, coming up next in Your Morning Ottawa, concerns over an exodus of doctors from Quebec and how it's impacting residents of the Outaouais. That's coming up just ahead on Your Morning Ottawa. But for now, we're going to take a peek outside through our Centennial Glass sky cam. And temperatures not feeling too bad today. We are expected to reach those double digits, but that is the last time we'll see that nice 2 number in quite some time, and some snow in the forecast. But for today, we focus on the warmth. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Here are the big stories we are following today on Your Morning Ottawa. Public service workers are expressing concern around job security as the Liberal government gets set to reveal its first fiscal plan today. A new warning from the city's Auditor General about Lansdowne 2.0's hefty price tag and potential unforeseen costs. Your full newscast in 15 minutes, but first, a check on the forecast.
And it is looking like a pretty nice day. We are reaching double digits with a beautiful 10 degrees this afternoon and plenty of sunshine to enjoy, and not too cool overnight tonight. All that will change, though, over the next couple of days as we will see a dropping in those temperatures. On your roads this hour, nothing to report. Smooth sailing as we cruise up to 6:15. No alterations or collisions to report. If anything comes through our newsroom, we will be sure to pass it along.
There's growing concern in the Outaouais, where 3 doctors have resigned over Quebec's new Bill 2. The new law changes how physicians are paid and how they can speak out. CTV's Josh Morano explains.
Dr. Trevor Hennessy has spent more than a decade caring for patients in Hull, but now he's packing up his office.
For me, this is not a protest. This is just the last straw.
He's one of 3 head doctors resigning from the Outaouais Health Authority after the Quebec government passed a controversial doctor's law last month.
It's just trying to pass the blame for the failings onto the doctors, who can't actually meet any of the requirements in this bill without the resources that are the responsibility of the government.
Bill 2 changes the way doctors are paid, tying salaries to performance targets, like the number of patients seen and average wait times.
Our rooms are often at 150 to 200% capacity. If there's no stretcher, if there's no triage nurse, if there's no laboratory technician to do the tests, how can the doctor do their job in less than 90 minutes?
It also fines doctors up to $20,000 a day for offenses such as leaving the province or slowing down workloads.
My last attempt is this, to try and get some change for the Outaouais. Finance us to the Quebec average. Give us what we need to be able to take care of the population.
The fact that he's come to the point where he feels broken and burnt out and is resigning as a consequence of the law, not in protest of the law, it really, really bothers me.
For Donna Stefov, a former patient of Hennessy's, the new law is concerning.
The fact that we live on the border and the inequities between the systems, both within Quebec and also between the provinces, is unacceptable.
Since the bill was passed, more than 100 doctors have applied for medical licenses in Ontario and New Brunswick. Premier Doug Ford says he'll welcome physicians with open arms.
I'd love to. Call 1-800-DOUG-FORD, all the docs, and come by. We'll have you working real quick.
Quebec's premier firing back.
Right now, we have very important challenges in all provinces about our healthcare systems. But it's not time to take shots at each other. It's time to work together.
Hennessy says he's not sure what's next for him, but he would like to stay in Gatineau.
The port is not closed for me to be able to come back should things modify. There's a lot of reflections going on.
Josh Morano, CTV News.
I mean, it's so concerning, right? Because like the shortage of doctors now impacting province to province, and even just in areas where shortage of doctors in one area, now they're hopping over because they're burnt out, which is a whole nother problem.
Yeah, and Kingston's offering $100,000 for doctors to move into their city and take on patients, and apparently it is working because there's a doctor shortage really throughout the country. Not only doctors, but, you know, medical staff, nurses, we need them all, right? And it's clear that there's a problem happening. I'm not too sure if this will continue to grow and many more doctors will leave Quebec, but it appears Bill 2 is a very concerning bill that really affects the way doctors operate. And you don't want a burnt-out doctor to be taking care of you. You want a doctor who's fully engaged there and ready to help you, not burnt out and fighting a law that just doesn't work with them. So I don't know the full details of Bill 2, but it's pretty clear when you see this reaction from, you know, several dozen doctors to leave, that something is just not right.
Yeah, and I mean, because they're so burnt out that, you know, the $100,000 incentive becomes that much more appetizing when you're like, you know what, I've been doing this for so long, like, I'm not getting any help. I have to move on and do that. But you make such a good point where it's so concerning because you do want a doctor and you want to go see one, but you don't want one that's maybe not making the right decisions or maybe is sleep deprived or something, because then that just opens up a whole new world of problems. Hopefully we can find at least some more doctors in the area. Well, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew stirred up some controversy on Monday in denouncing a Supreme Court of Canada ruling on child pornography. Here's what the Premier said yesterday.
Child sexual abuse images and video, this is like one of the worst things that anyone can do. Not only should go to prison for a long time, they should bury you under the prison. You shouldn't get protective custody. They should put you into general population, if you know what I mean.
The High Court has ruled that 1-year mandatory minimum jail sentences for access or possessing child pornography are unconstitutional. Let's bring in Bill Carroll from the Morning Rush on News Talk 580 CFRA. Good morning to you, Bill.
Good morning. I wonder how many people took them literally there. I'm seeing the outrage everywhere, and I think, come on, people. You've heard this said about child molesters and others your entire life. People will say they should go to jail forever and don't put them in general population and let vigilante justice take its course. Does he literally mean that? I don't think he does. Is it an emotional sentiment that many Canadians share? You bet it is. Do we actually want to do that? No. But we're expressing our anger here. I don't know what is a more outrageous statement, the one you just heard from him, or the statement from the Supreme Court itself, that somehow thinks that a 1-year minimum sentence for people who possess child pornography is cruel and unusual. Cruel and unusual. Child pornography. Look, I understand. Maybe somebody picked up your computer and they looked at child pornography. You didn't even know it was there. Well, that's called being found not guilty. But if you've been found guilty, if the courts have ruled that you are guilty, 1 year is not nearly enough. And I don't want to hear that viewing child pornography is not the crime. The person who created it should be the one who's punished. Well, everybody should. There's a market for it, and that's why people create it. So you're helping a child be hurt, a life be destroyed by making yourself part of the market for child pornography. That's worth at least a year in prison, I think, in my mind, and any rational Canadian's mind. What is the Supreme Court thinking? That's what we need to be asking ourselves today. Not what is the Premier of Manitoba thinking. His words are totally understandable. The Supreme Court's words are kind of lost on most of us.
And I think, Bill, you made a good point there. This is for people that are guilty, not guilty if something happens. Have a great show, my friend.
Thank you.
And remember, you can listen to The Morning Rush with Bill Carroll on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 6 till 10 in the morning. And coming up next on Your Morning Ottawa, the budget is the topic of our comments this morning. We want to know what you'll be looking for in today's budget that is expected to be released at about 4 p.m. That is coming up a little bit later on in our show. Stay with us, everybody. It is Tuesday, 6/21.
Today on Your Morning Ottawa, we are asking for your comments on the federal budget. What do you hope to see in today's federal budget? Let us know. Email us at yourmorningottawa@ctv.ca.
This is a tough one for today, tough for Canadians because obviously we heard Mark Carney say there might be some pain before we see some good. So we know that there are going to be cuts. It's just a matter to where. But I would really like to see him tackle affordability. I think for many Canadians that's a big issue, from housing to food costs, and hopefully there's something in there to make maybe less taxes or something to help relieve the pressure off Canadians in terms of costs.
Yeah, I think affordability is like the perfect word to choose, right? Just because everything is so much more expensive. And he said, we're going to have to make some sacrifices as Canadians. And then some of the other political leaders saying, well, Canadians are already making sacrifices. So hopefully we do have some details that comes out at 4 p.m. today, where we can get a little bit more of a clear picture on what this budget is going to hopefully help us in the future.
Yeah, I'm so confused because the word out now is talking about the federal budget, and a couple of words come to describe it: the generational investment and also austerity. And so it's like, how do you do the two here? How are those two going to match up? And then also, I'm really concerned about this city in particular, how this budget will affect public servants. Will there be a massive cut to the public service sector in order to save money? Because if that happens, what happens to the downtown core? What happens to people who are not going to be coming into work because we could see cuts in the tens of thousands? That could happen. I cannot wait to see what this budget will reveal, and I know 4 o'clock the word will come out.
And generally speaking, when there are job losses and job cuts, Ottawa usually is pretty safe because of the federal public service, because a big part of employment is the federal government. And generally speaking, you don't see a lot of cuts within the government. So I get that a lot of Ottawans are on edge right now and just nervous as we, wait to find details on just exactly how many cuts will be made. And, it's scary times. And as someone who has been through job loss, it's terrible. It's horrible. It's a really tough time. And, I feel for so many people right now.
Yeah, and I'm wondering as well, if this budget is not well received. I mean, they're a minority government. They need a few other people to come to the party and say, okay, we approve. If not, we could be looking at a December election. Could be.
Yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see. And 4 p.m., a lot of people will be on edge. So we're going to be hearing from you a little bit later on in the show. We are asking, what do you hope to see in today's federal budget? Send us your comments at yourmorningottawa@ctv.ca.
And coming up on Your Morning Ottawa, we will hear from CTV's Vashi Kapelos about what we were just talking about the federal budget, which is coming down today. We will be right back. You're watching Your Morning Ottawa. On the nose, welcome. Good morning. I'm Rosie Edda.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Will Aiello.
And I'm Melissa Lamb, and it's also budget day. I know all eyes will be on the government today as we wait Mark Carney for his budget at 4 p.m. today.
Yeah, and that's going to be our top story. The highly anticipated federal budget comes out today. Mark Carney's first since becoming Prime Minister. And here in the capital, public service workers are expressing concern around job security. The Public Service Alliance of Canada has warned about a reduction of 70,000 public sector jobs. The Prime Minister has said this will be a budget of austerity while promising generational investment. Now, where that money will come from to fund that investment is still not entirely clear. And until then, tens of thousands of government workers wait anxiously.
Definitely some cuts, it seems like, for the government at the federal level. I think the writing was on the wall before the election on that. I don't know what the severity is going to be. We have no real idea.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today with the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority. They will need support of some opposition members to pass it. If they don't get that support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. And a reminder, you can watch live coverage of the budget today starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
Confusion over multiple different speed limits along Jean d'Arc Boulevard has many Orleans residents calling for change.
What we'd really like to see is the lanes narrowed to be able to actually do something to physically control the speed. We have a new roundabout in here, and the signs say 30, but the road design also forces you to slow down.
The 7.5-kilometer stretch of Jean d'Arc Boulevard, speeds shift back and forth between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, including school zone changes that depend on the time of day. Now the city wants to cut the number of speed zones from 6 down to 3 with consistent 40 and 50 kilometer an hour limits, which will simplify driving in the area. If approved, the new limits would be in effect at all times.
Ottawa police are looking for a man allegedly involved in a voyeurism incident at Bayshore Shopping Centre last month. Police say the suspect filmed a woman who was in a change room at the mall on the afternoon of October 9th. He's described as a man believed to be Middle Eastern and around 30 to 40 years old with a beard. At the time of the incident, he was wearing a blue t-shirt, dark-colored pants, and boots.
A 34-year-old resident of Kingston is facing several charges after a drug trafficking investigation. Officers executed a search warrant at a home on Ford Street last week. Police arrested one person and seized cash, crystal meth, LSD, and other illegal drugs.
The candidates in New York City's mayoral race were making the final push ahead of today's election.
We know the problems, but we also know the solutions.
Our time has come, New York. Our time is now.
The three main candidates are Democrat Zohran Mamdani, Republican Curtis Sliwa, and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is running as an independent. As candidates made their final pitch to voters yesterday, President Donald Trump urged New Yorkers to cast their ballot for Cuomo in an effort to defeat Mamdani. Tributes are pouring in for three-time Oscar nominee Diane Ladd, who died yesterday in California.
Well, honey, I sure would hate to have breakfast with you every morning of my life.
She's in a lot of... Ladd had a long career on stage and TV before her Oscar-nominated role in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. She earned another Best Supporting Actor nod for Wild at Heart in 1990. A year later, Ladd and Laura Dern became the only mother-daughter duo to receive Oscar nominations for the same film, Ramblin' Rose. In a statement, Dern wrote, "We were blessed to have her. She is flying with her angels now."
A polar bear in Northern Ontario enjoyed a massive post-Halloween treat thanks to a special donation.
Hi everybody, this is Henry. He lives at a habitat for polar bears who can't live in the wild in Cochrane, Ontario. At first, he was not sure what to make of the 1,400-pound pumpkin in his enclosure.
Oh, he eventually dug in and enjoyed the seasonal treat. He had a lie down near the pumpkin after eating his way through a good chunk of it.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's a good little snack.
Yeah, 1,400-pound pumpkin.
Makes sense now, too, because when I was like, a polar bear in Ontario, what? Enclosure.
Enclosure, yeah, they have that like up in Cochrane. I actually went to visit there.
Cool.
Did the weather from there from Sudbury way back when. Yeah, and it was so cool being up there. And that was like my exact thought, not being familiar with it. Like, polar bear? Oh, it's because of the enclosure, yeah. So everything's good.
They're huge, aren't they?
Huge.
Oh,
Massive. I couldn't believe it when you see it in person. Whoa! Much bigger than
Melissa
you think.
and I were just talking about this yesterday. We go, yeah, I want to see one sort of in the wild. I mean, it's not exactly in the wild, but still as close as you can get to it. That would be.
But like at a safe proximity and an enclosure, so you're protected.
I think that's for the best.
Yes, exactly. Well, we could even see some frosty conditions in for your weekend forecast. The good news is we have a couple of days before we have to deal with some snow. And yes, we could see some snow over the next 7 days. This morning, still a chance we could see some scattered showers into the afternoon. Sunny, but very windy still today. Those winds will calm down later on this evening. And then it will be a slightly cool week for us in the capital. Right now, we're seeing cloudy conditions, but you could see some spotty green showers in the forecast this morning. So some areas could get a little bit of wet weather. For the most part, into the afternoon, it will stay nice and dry. We will get to see some sunshine today. But then tomorrow, this is at 9 a.m., we're seeing all this green. Some areas could see some freezing rain mixed in with there as well early in the morning, as temperatures do hover around that freezing mark. For us here in Ottawa, mainly rain, and we are expecting about 15 millimeters of rain in the forecast as we head into tomorrow. But you can see we're definitely starting to see some snow mixing with some freezing rain, so some mixed precipitation in our forecast model. So it's just a matter of time before we start to see some snow and freezing rain here in the city, which we could see into the weekend. In our wind speeds today, still very windy this morning into your afternoon, so we're dealing with west winds gusting 30 up to 50 kilometers an hour. Those winds will come down this evening and be much calmer into your early morning hours tomorrow as well. So on your commute into work, because we could see those spotty showers, we could see some severe driving conditions, but nothing that will last too long and just a slim chance of seeing those spotty showers. The drive home should be nice and sunny, so no major issues on your roads later on tonight. Double-digit temperatures for today, so temperatures a little bit above seasonal into your afternoon. Enjoy it because this is the last day with double-digit temps. 10 degrees in Ottawa, Cornwall, 11 for Kemptville as well as in Kingston, 10 out in the valley for today, 8 in Kittigan-Zibi, slightly cooler in Mount Tremblant with a daytime high of 5. So for the next 7 days, that's when you're going to see these temperatures shift. Tomorrow, a daytime high of 8 degrees. We are expecting periods of rain throughout the afternoon. We could see upwards of 15 millimeters. Cooler conditions into Thursday and even in through the weekend. Much cooler temps on the way. Spotty showers for Friday. Then in the weekend, daytime highs of 3 degrees. Next Monday, a daytime high of 1. So cooler conditions on the way and those overnight lows into the weekend. That's why we could see some snow. So we could see the rain on Sunday change to snow, which is why we could see some snowflakes in the forecast overnight on Sunday.
Weather brought to you by Manotick Place Retirement Community, a community you can call home.
On the 417 eastbound, we're starting to see moderate congestion right now, building between Moody and Greenbank. Light backups at Carling and clear after Parkdale.
Traffic brought to you by Presler Injury Lawyers, 1-800-JUSTICE.
Well, coming up next on Your Morning Ottawa, Donald Trump's tariff agenda is set to face a major legal hurdle in the U.S. Supreme Court this week. We'll tell you more with CTV's Scott Hurst coming up just after the break, taking a peek through our sky cam, and Melissa letting us know not too spooky post-Halloween conditions today, but that S word, the snow, maybe just some flurries on the way at the tail end of the weekend. Get those winter tires on. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
We committed to the federal government.
We have some breaking news this morning. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died. Cheney served with President George W. Bush after being elected in 2000 and re-elected in 2004. The former Halliburton executive was an influential member in Bush's cabinet, including taking on leading roles in the wake of 9/11 terrorist attacks. He was known as the architect of the consequential war on terror. Dick Cheney was 84 years old.
In our forecast today, we could see some spotty showers early this morning, then sunshine into your day ahead, a daytime high of 10 degrees. Beautiful fall day. Enjoy it because temps will get really cool, especially heading into the weekend. 8 for tomorrow, periods of rain. We could see upwards of 15 millimeters on the way. Thursday, mix of sun and cloud with a high of 5. On your roads this morning, we do have a new collision. This is Island Park. Island Park eastbound, there is a collision, so make sure you steer clear of that. Other than that, traffic is just building in the normal slowdown spots.
The U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments Wednesday from businesses in states that say Trump's use of a national security statute to hit nearly every nation with tariffs is illegal. CTV News correspondent Scott Hurst joins us this morning with the latest on the anti-tariff ad front and how the U.S. Supreme Court's decision could impact Canada. Good morning to you, Scott.
Good morning, Rosie.
Okay, so Scott, the fallout from President Trump's decision to end tariff talks with Canada has remained a top issue for premiers across the country. What's the latest we've been hearing from them?
Rosie, we've seen premiers from coast to coast over the past several months push back against the economic threats coming from the White House, arguing how tariffs are not just bad for Canadians and the Canadian economy, but also costly to Americans and the American economy overall. Some more forceful than others, of course, some much more publicly than others. Most notably, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who we've seen push that multi-million-dollar ad campaign to specifically target American viewers, and now, as we know, getting under the skin of the U.S. president, canceling trade talks with Ottawa and then ultimately hiking tariffs even further. While the ads, of course, as we know, are now pulled, Ford is still defiant, doubling down on the successful impact, he says, by reaching Americans. On the other hand, BC Premier David Eby says he'll hold off on an ad campaign that was going to specifically target Americans as well, saying the shift in strategy is to better align with the federal government and the response to ongoing tariff negotiations with the United States. And so both premiers still, standing firm on their plans, but different approaches. Here's the very latest from both Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, and BC Premier David Eby on their responses to the ad campaigns.
I'd never apologize to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's trying to destroy our province, destroy our country, steal manufacturing jobs and auto sector jobs.
So we've committed to the federal government that when the time comes to be speaking directly to Americans, we'll do it in partnership with them. We will not be running the ads by ourselves. We'll make sure that we're in line with strategy going forward.
So, of course, Rosie, as we know, specific trade talks between U.S. and Canada are at a pause right now because of the backlash from the ad that you're seeing right now on your screen, the ad from the government to Ontario. However, Doug Ford maintains he and Prime Minister Carney still are in close contact, and he says still have a good relationship.
Scott, a pivotal time for the U.S. Supreme Court. They will begin hearing arguments about the use of tariffs tomorrow. How could the court's decision impact Canada?
Yeah, well, this Supreme Court decision could have a major global impact, including very specifically for Canada, and also a huge test of U.S. presidential powers. Bottom line for the Canadian economy and the industries forced to pay, it won't impact all tariffs imposed on this country, regardless of the outcome of the Supreme Court decision. The targeted tariffs hammering Canada's steel sector, aluminum, autos, copper, and lumber, those will remain in place. Those are Trump's industry-specific tariffs. However, the tariffs that the Supreme Court will have in question are the so-called Liberation Day tariffs and the specific fentanyl-imposed tariffs that Canada is facing. Trump, in that case, has invoked national emergency powers specifically to combat the flow of fentanyl he claims is flooding across the border into the U.S. The Trump administration argues that those tariffs are necessary, and without them, it would push America to economic catastrophe. Now, the Supreme Court will begin to hear arguments from all sides on Wednesday, and all sides have asked the Supreme Court to come up with a decision as quickly as possible. So this is a decision that could have significant impacts right across the globe, and for us here in Canada specifically as well, Rosie.
Scott Hurst from CTV News. A lot to look out for on Wednesday and today, indeed, with the federal budget coming down. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rosie.
Well, today on Your Morning Ottawa, we asked for your comments on the federal budget, and here's what you had to say.
Marjorie says, I would like to see more support for women's health and more support for the elderly.
Yeah, you know, Thank you for that, Marjorie. Women's health, obviously extremely important.
Yeah.
The health of the nation. And we were talking about doctors and the shortage of doctors, and some doctors in Quebec leaving because of Bill 2.
Yeah.
And coming to Ontario. I mean, we're not mad at that. That would be a great thing. But there is that overall feel that there is a shortage of doctors right around. It's going to be something to watch this this federal budget come through. This is the first federal budget of Prime Minister Mark Carney. So a lot to dive into. That's going to come through at 4 p.m. Thank you for that, Marjorie, for letting us know your thoughts on what you're hoping to see in that budget. All right, we are asking you, what do you hope to see in today's federal budget? Send us your comments at yourmorningottawa@ctv.ca.
And coming up next on Your Morning Ottawa, royalty in Ontario. We'll tell you when Prince Harry will be paying a visit to Toronto ahead of the Remembrance Day. Plus, People magazine has named its annual Sexiest Man Alive. We'll have that story and more when we bring you your morning fix just ahead. Here's a live look through our Skycam on George Street this morning. The sun is up because it rises early now, but of course that means it's going to set before 5 p.m. And it is time for your morning fix, and Prince Harry will be in Canada this week to attend several engagements as Remembrance Day approaches. He will be in Toronto tomorrow and Thursday at the invitation of the military charity True Patriot Love Foundation. The Duke is scheduled to attend a series of events to support the Canadian Armed Forces and veteran community. They include a private lunch where international veterans issues will be discussed, a visit to the Veterans Center at Sunnybrook Hospital, and a tribute dinner for military families and veterans.
It's awesome that he's coming down here and being a part of so many events and organizations and dinners. It's always great to have that support.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wish he would have wore a Blue Jays hat before he made his appearance back to Toronto, right? He was spotted at those Dodgers games, and I know he took some heat for it because Canada wasn't very happy with that, but
naturally,
we still love Prince Harry.
You know what it would have worked if one wore a Blue Jay hat and one wore an LA Dodgers hat.
There
then
you
we'd be
go.
like, okay, we get it.
She
but
also spent many, many years living in Toronto as well, filming Suits, so I get it. Well, People magazine has named its annual Sexiest Man Alive for 2025, and this year the honor goes to Jonathan Bailey. Bailey is best known for his roles in Wicked and on Bridgerton. He is the first openly gay person to receive the honor. Bailey says it is the honor of a lifetime.
I know last week when they were talking about who it's going to be, and they put the list of people. So this is always a fun time of year.
Yeah, good to be, and good to see him, embracing it too and being excited. And I mean, if you watch Bridgerton, he's quite attractive in that series. Wicked as well. Like, he's just such a brilliant actor. And I mean, he's quite
easy on the ice.
Very easy on the ice.
Easy on the ice.
And we're getting into ugly sweater season and ahead of the holidays. And Alberta Brewery is snapping smiles and awkward family photos for a good cause.
I think it's probably a new craze, is kind of pushing those boundaries, making yourself feel okay with being awkward. The response has been incredible. I don't understand. There's been a bigger reaction to this event posted online than we have had for anything.
Leduc Brewing Company held an awkward sweater family photos event over the weekend. A photographer was standing by for 5 minutes photo shoots. Against a cheesy backdrop, the fun photo sessions raised donations for the local Boys and Girls Club.
That is a
Love
great
that.
idea.
Look at the pictures too, right?
No way you're getting my family to get into that. I might get my sister involved, maybe something, but my parents, absolutely not.
No. You can do them with just your siblings, though. That would be hilarious.
I get the nieces and nephews in there,
Yeah,
and then just do that.
Send it to your parents.
Photoshop them in maybe after, and then give it to them for Christmas.
They would love that.
All right, here's a look at what's coming up next in the next hour. CTV's Vashi Capellos will be here to break down what we can expect from today's federal budget. For Sleep Week, we are talking about babies and how you can get your little ones to get a full night's rest. And it's Movember. We'll tell you how you can join the cause to raise money and awareness for men's health. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. Oh, man, it's starting off to be a beautiful looking day there. We have a little critter on the screen, but that's okay. Looks like it's going to be a nice one. 6:57, we'll be right back. It's Tuesday, November 4th.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
Concerns about potential government cuts as Prime Minister Mark Carney tables his government's first budget.
One of the world's most powerful and consequential vice presidents in American history has died.
And we are telling you how to help your baby get a good night's sleep in our Sleep Week series. Your Morning Ottawa continues right now.
Good morning, just at 7 o'clock. I'm Rosie Edda.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Will Aiello.
And I'm Melissa Lamb, and I am so thankful it is Sleep Week and we are talking babies. But Erin also does kids, so I've been already picking her brain on being like, how do I get my 3-year-old to sleep? So she's given me some great tips that we are definitely going to, start tonight.
You got your pen ready for the notes?
Oh, yes,
You're all good to go.
I do.
Good.
As a parent, you know how precious sleep is, especially with little kids. So I know a lot of parents will be tuning into that.
Absolutely important information, but first off, we've got some breaking news. This morning, former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died. Cheney served with President George W. Bush after being elected in 2000 and re-elected in 2004. The former Halliburton executive was an influential member in Bush's cabinet, including taking on leading roles in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. He was known as the architect of consequential war on terror. Dick Cheney was 84 years old.
The highly anticipated federal budget comes out today, Mark Carney's first since becoming prime minister. And here in the capital, public service workers are expressing concern around job security. The Public Service Alliance of Canada has warned about a reduction of 70,000 public sector jobs. The prime minister has said this will be a budget of austerity while promising generational investment. Now, where that money will come from to fund the investment is still not clear. And until then, tens of thousands of government workers wait anxiously.
Definitely some cuts, it seems like, for the government at the federal level. I think the writing was on the wall before the election on that. I don't know what the severity is going to be. We have no real idea.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today, with the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority. They will need support of some opposition members to pass it, and if they don't get that support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. And a reminder, you can watch live coverage of the budget today, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific. That's on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
Confusion over multiple different speed limits along Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard has many Orleans residents calling for change.
What we'd really like to see is the lanes narrowed to be able to actually do something to physically control the speed. We have a new roundabout in here, and the signs say 30, but the road design also forces you to slow down.
Along the 7.5-kilometer stretch of Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard, speed limits shift back and forth between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, including school zone changes that depend on the time of day. The city now wants to cut the number of speed zones from 6 to 3, with consistent 40 and 50 kilometer an hour limits to simplify driving in the area. If approved, the new limits would be in effect at all times.
The candidates in New York City's mayoral race were making the final push ahead of today's election day.
We know the problems, but we also know the solutions.
Our time has come, New York. Our time is now.
The three main candidates are Democrat Zoran Mamdani, Republican Curtis Sliwa, and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is running as an independent. As candidates made their final pitch to voters yesterday, President Donald Trump urged New Yorkers to cast their ballot for Cuomo in an effort to defeat Mamdani.
A rare bird sighting has birders in New York going cuckoo.
Literally, a common cuckoo has been spotted, which is not so common in New York. It's typically found in parts of Europe and Asia, while they usually spend the winter in Africa. However, one was recently spotted on Long Island by a golfer.
Once its presence was confirmed, birders flocked to the area to check it out. It's not clear how it ended up there, but experts suspect it got off course when trying to migrate. That's a cool-looking bird.
Yeah.
And a good spot, like someone being able to like capture that and be like, oh, like this is an uncommon bird for this area. And while golfing.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Very interesting. I'll stay far away because, you know, I'm terrified.
Yes.
Nope, you don't like the birds.
The bird fear is real with this one.
I like pictures of birds like that, beautiful, but when they're close proximity, I get a little nervous.
You are like my
It's
sister.
okay, New York's so far.
Yes,
You're good.
thankfully. And we do have your weather picture of the day. Look at this beautiful picture sent to us by Steve. It's the Ottawa River and mountain views.
Weather picture brought to you by Box Me Up. Moving, staging, renovating, just box me up.
And we want to see your weather shots. All you have to do is send them to us by email, weathershots@ctv.ca. Again, that email address is weathershots@ctv.ca. And in our forecast today, it's going to be a beautiful, sunny, warm day. Enjoy it because after today, temperatures down to single digits and we don't have any more double-digit conditions, at least over the next 7 days. Of course, the sun is up, but it will set 4:45 p.m. tonight. So very short day in the forecast for us. Temperatures right now sitting at 4 degrees here in the city. Same within Cornwall. It's already 7 in Montreal. So not a bad looking start to your morning. Temperatures quite warm to start off your day. We are seeing cloudy conditions out there this morning, but those clouds will shoot through very shortly, and we will get to see some sunshine throughout the day ahead. So a mix of sun and cloud, beautiful day ahead. Enjoy, because tomorrow at this time, we are expecting some wet weather. So tomorrow, periods of rain. We could see upwards of 15 millimeters of rain in the forecast for a pretty soggy Wednesday forecast for us. And you could see this purple, this white, this pink. We are just on the touch of seeing snow or freezing rain. So some areas to the north of us and to the west of us definitely could see some snow and freezing rain mixed in with that tomorrow, as temperatures won't warm up too much into the afternoon, and especially in the early morning hours when it's still quite cool. On top of the beautiful sunshine for today, we're still going to see windy conditions. So some west winds gusting 30 to 50 kilometers an hour. You can see that green and yellow. That's when we will see stronger winds. It will calm down into your evening, and our winds will be much calmer into your day tomorrow as well. 10 degrees for this afternoon. Same within Cornwall, 11 for Brockville, Kingston area, 10 out in the valley for today. Cooler in Mont-Tremblant, Kitigan, Zibi sitting at 8, Mont-Tremblant sitting at 5 as your daytime high. So for kids heading out to the school bus, not too bad this morning. Just remember, there's a chance of those scattered showers till about 9 a.m., but then it will clear up. Slim chance, but we could see some spotty little showers this morning. Temperatures quite mild, though, sitting at 4 degrees. Over the next 7 days, that's when we're going to see a real shift in temperatures, especially into the weekend. Tomorrow, 8 is the high again, 15 millimeters of rain. Then Thursday and through Friday, fairly average, a little bit below into Thursday, some sunshine in the forecast for us, but the weekend forecast, quite cool conditions, especially those overnight lows dropping below the freezing both Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday, we are expecting some scattered showers. If we continue to see that rain at night, we could actually see the rain shift to snow overnight on Sunday, which means we could start to see a few flurries in the forecast next.
7-day weather forecast brought to you by Davidson Hearing Aid Centers, celebrating over 80 years in family business.
And we do have a collision eastbound on the 417 around Island Park. It is causing significant delays. Also, the 417 eastbound. Heavy backups this morning between Moody and Greenbank. Heavy traffic between Maitland and Parkdale.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney and Finance Minister Francois Philippe Champagne will table their first budget today. The budget is expected to include cuts to public service and increases in military and defense spending. Let's bring in CTV Chief Political Correspondent Vashi Kapelos with a preview. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I think before we start this, just in case people at home aren't aware, this is what Carney had to say last week.
We won't transform our economy easily or in a few months. It will take some sacrifices, and it will take some time.
And I think a big word there that caught a lot of journalists' attention, a lot of political leaders' attention, was the word sacrifice. So when the budget comes out today, where do you think some of those sacrifices might come from?
Well, what they've indicated so far, and I know it's significant for your audience, is that the spending on what they are terming the operating side of government is going to decrease. And they identified in the platform of their campaign, for example, $15 billion on an annual basis of a gap that they think they need to close. So what does that mean over the next few years? Finally, the budget should, and I say should because I don't know for sure if it will, but should provide some of those answers. Are you looking at more than attrition, for example, to get there? Are you looking, they keep using the word workforce adjustment, like what kind of workforce adjustment does that look like? Is it just incentivizing people to retire early, or is it actually eliminating jobs? And what I'm told is behind the scenes, that answer to those questions has changed multiple times over the past few weeks. So there were things 2 months ago that were looking at cuts of 70,000 jobs or 80,000 jobs, and that migrated to somewhere around 15 or 16,000. And maybe over the weekend, because of the politics of this budget and the need to lean on the NDP, that number could shrink even further.
Interesting, and you bring that point up too. I know the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, was quick to say, Canadians are already struggling. They don't need any more sacrifices, and he pinpointed to young Canadians. But Mark Carney didn't really suggest that it was going to be just towards young Canadians. Are you finding that the support from the other political leaders are supporting this, or what's the vibe from their standpoint?
Well, definitely in the case of the official opposition in the Conservatives, what they have said is that if this is a good budget in their determination, they are willing to support it. Conventionally, it's unheard of for the official opposition to support a budget, and certainly some of the demands that they've laid out ahead of the budget, including capping the deficit at $42 billion. The government has given no indication that it will be anywhere near there. Perhaps it might even be double that. So don't expect them, I think, to support the budget, which would be in line with what traditionally happens. Then you start looking to the Bloc Québécois. They also laid out some very specific demands, including one, boosting OAS for people between 65 and 67. That would be incredibly costly. So you've got to think the government's going to have a hard time meeting those demands, which maybe puts them aside as well as voting against the budget. So that leaves us with the same dance partner the Liberals have had for a number of years, right, in the New Democrats. And therein we have this very interesting kind of situation which leads many to speculate at the moment that an election could happen, only because the NDP leader himself might decide, I don't want an election, I don't want to force an election. It's not a good idea for Canadians or our party. But he has a caucus of 7, no official party status. They are disparate in many senses, and they may vote their own conscience, which means we could be in for a surprise election.
Interesting, and we need the opposition's leaders at least some support there to make sure that this budget goes through. And then on the opposite side of things, we talk about the sacrifices, but we're also going to be doing some spending as well, he's indicated.
Oh yeah, lots of spending, and that's the other thing I really got my eye on today, because the government has said, the Liberals have said, we're going to do this thing where we separate our budget kind of the way we would a credit card payment versus a mortgage payment. So things that we deem to generate a return on investment will fall under one category, and then the other stuff under the other categories. So how high does spending, because they're going to use the word investment, and sure, it's investment. We'll see if it generates a return on investment. The jury's still out because we're so new into this mandate. But investment means spending. And they have signaled on multiple occasions, particularly over the last week and a half, that they are going to do generational investment, which to me means tons and tons of spending. So how high does that number go? How do they expect a return on that investment? What kinds of things are they spending money at? That will give us an idea of, if they do stay in office, what their priorities are. The clearest yet signal of what those priorities are.
Lots of anxious people waiting for that 4 p.m. timeline this afternoon. Vashi Kapelos, we always appreciate when you join us in studio.
Thanks so much, Will.
And a reminder, CTV News will have special coverage of the Budget 2025, hosted by Chief Anchor and Senior Editor Omar Sachedina and Chief Political Correspondent Vashi Kapelos. Coverage starts this afternoon at 4 p.m. on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca. Melissa.
Well, coming up, is your baby keeping you up all night long? A local sleep expert will offer 5 ways to help your baby get sleeping through the night. We'll have that conversation just ahead as Sleep Week continues. Our guest is standing by in the Your Morning Ottawa Lazy Boy Lounge this morning, and will be giving us all those details coming up next. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam this morning. A little bug having a good time out there this morning, hanging out on our screens. The thing is, a beautiful sunny day on the horizon for us here in the city with a high of 10. While sleep might seem like a luxury for new parents, it is important for both you and your baby. So here to highlight some of the top 5 ways to get your baby down is Erin Younger, professional infant and toddler sleep consultant with the Happy Sleep Company, and someone I know very well from my years of needing your services. Just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so my team and I work with really tired parents to help them help their little ones get better sleep. Be getting their bigger, longer chunks of sleep at night, nice long restful naps in the day, and just the whole family unit getting better rest.
And what's kind of the earliest you can start to get your little one on a routine?
You can start from day 1, but routines don't need to mean rigid. It doesn't need to mean and shouldn't mean by the clock for a newborn or a really young infant. It should really be more about looking at your child's sleep cues, getting them naps when they need naps so they're not getting overtired and really cranky. And you can start looking for those cues and getting on that kind of schedule from day 1. Again, not a rigid by the clock schedule for little babies.
Okay, so let's talk about some ways that we can get our babies sleeping through the night to make it a little bit easier throughout the day for parents. You say make it dark and quiet.
Make it dark and quiet, and this is for adults too.
Yeah.
You know, I love a super dark room, a very quiet room for sleep. A lot of parents of young children will express to me that they're concerned that then their child will never learn to sleep anywhere and everywhere. But even as adults, we didn't really learn to sleep that way. We all sleep best when it's very dark and very quiet. That's what tells our brains that it's time to go to sleep. So I love setting up a room that way with blackout blinds and blackout curtains, and then parents will express to me, well, what if we're away at an Airbnb or grandma's house and we can't make it dark? You can. It's 2025. There's things for all the things.
Absolutely.
So this is a portable blackout curtain that's excellent. This one is by a company called Sleep Out, and it just sticks in the window with a couple of suction cups. Amazing. And then there's Velcro on them, and then you can just put it up into the window when you want to. You can take it down and leave the suction cups there when you want to. So if you're at a weekend long stay at grandma's house, you can make it nice and dark for naps and making it really quiet. So these are a couple of sound machines that I love. They both just play a nice white noise setting. You just leave it on a constant steady sound through your baby's nap and throughout the night. This one can run on batteries if you need it to, if you're camping or if the power goes out. This one has a Bluetooth speaker, so you can dual function, use it during the day if you want for Bluetooth and that kind of thing. So those are great options. This one also has a night light built in if you need that.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's talk about some sleep cues for babies.
Yes, so cues for your baby that it's time to sleep soon are a great idea, because to our babies, we can't just say it's time to go to bed. They don't understand what that means. But we can put a little routine in place and give them these cues that tell their brain sleep time is coming up soon. So that might be a nice little bath every night before you start their bedtime routine that cues to them, oh, this means my big long sleep in my crib is coming up soon. And then we put on their pajamas. I like a sleep sack as a really good sleep cue. It helps babies understand when it goes on for every nap and every night that this means sleep time is coming up soon. It's also safer than blankets because it's a wearable blanket. It can't go up over their head, and they can't kick it off and get cold in the night now that we're in the chillier months. So that's a really good cue. And then just a little story and into the crib for the night. Those are some good cues to line up for your baby before it's sleep time.
And so many other tips and tricks as well that you offer. What's the best way to get a hold of you? And I just want to say, you don't only do infants, you do toddlers.
We were just talking about your preschoolers.
4-year-olds, 3-year-olds as well.
On our website, thehappysleepcompany.com, and on Instagram at thehappysleepcompany, I'm on there just about every day answering sleep questions. So those are the best ways to get in touch with us.
Okay, thank you so much, Erin, for joining us today. We truly appreciate it, helping all parents try to get a little more sleep. Rosie.
Thank you, Melissa. Patrick Gordon has been a picture framer for several years now, and he's also heavily involved in the Ottawa arts community. And Patrick joins us now to give us all the information you need to know about the art of custom framing. Good morning to you, Patrick.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm doing really well. Let's talk about your business, Patrick Gordon Framing.
Right.
You've been in business now for what, 20 years?
This month we're turning 21.
21.
Long haul.
It's amazing when you think about that. Over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Talk about how business is right now.
Business is pretty good. I mean, we've been around for 21 years, so we have our ups and downs once in a while. But this summer has been a bit of a struggle just to keep ahead of all my payments, rent, government, employees, suppliers. It can get tough.
When you're a small business, right? I mean, you got to take it all on.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
You do. And so when you started the business, it was for the love of art and having this custom frame work.
Yeah.
I know, I mean, there you are there. I know what that's like. My brother is a painter, and he was in school. He made these wonderful paintings. Then he just kind of put them away. And I was like, dude, these are gorgeous. So when I was back in Montreal, I had them custom framed.
Right.
And it makes a massive difference. Talk about your commitment to the Ottawa arts community and custom framing.
Well, in terms of our framing, we're more concerned about the art than adding to the art visually. We want the art to be looked after. So I've got a fantastic staff. They're all within the arts, related somehow within the arts. And they're very professional at what they do and how to handle and take care of art.
How do you choose the right frame?
Well, for myself, I like, as I said, that I make sure the art's looked after and that it's also aesthetically pleasing. But I try not to mix match with colors and whatnot. I think the art speaks for itself and should just be housed properly.
Okay, we're just looking at some pictures there of your custom framing shop here. I'm fascinated with the whole process, and you talk about the installation. So if somebody walks in to Patrick Gordon Framing, and they've got something that they want framed, how does the process work? How do you work with them?
I usually change their mind. People come in with a preconceived idea, and I'd say 99% of the time their minds are changed by the time they leave. Depending what it is, work on paper, work on canvas, whether it's a textile, it's all approached differently, and again for the safety of the art. So we've got a good reputation in Ottawa. I've tried to support the Ottawa arts community whenever I can afford to do so, I should say. And they've been good to me. I've had a lot of, I've worked with a lot of galleries, a lot of artists, a lot of collectors. I'm a collector myself.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, you think it would be, but...
I know. Well, it's probably very pleasing, right? It might be a bit stiff on the pocketbook, but what about this? Have you framed any sort of important works of art that you can talk about?
Oh, yes. Over the years, we've done various, Group of 7.
Come on.
I've done some a Dali, a Klimt.
The master of surrealism, Salvador Dali. Wow, did you go down that rabbit hole when you looked at the painting? Oh, that must be incredible. So surely you can handle our artwork when we come to your shop.
Yeah. And the majority of work that comes in our shop is originals.
That's great.
We've just gained that reputation in Ottawa to... if you're looking for something to be properly framed and looked after, take the Patrick Gordon Framing.
Patrick Gordon Framing. Where are you located?
We're at 160 Elm Street in Little Italy.
Okay, in Little Italy. You got it there. There's Patrick Gordon. We're so glad to have you on the show. And
I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that the shop turning 21 years old, how you give back to the community and the arts community and the custom framing, which is so important to those wonderful works of art. Thank you so much for coming by, Patrick.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And 21 years this month, 21 year again, even ahead. All right, wishing you another 21 years.
Oh, I hope I can make it.
I know. Thank you so much, Patrick. Melissa, over to you.
Coming up on Your Morning Ottawa, Movember's yearly campaign kicked off over the weekend, and the initiative is taking on a number of men's physical and mental health issues. Coming up, we'll tell you how you can get involved. Here's a live look from our Skycam on George Street this morning. We're going to see sunshine into your day ahead and a beautiful conditions with temperatures reaching a high of 10.
Welcome. Good morning. I'm Rosie Edda.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Willie Yellow.
And I'm Melissa Lamb.
And we are looking at a pretty good looking day today, which is nice, a little bit on the cool side, but we got to get used to that.
This is like the last beautiful day we will see with double-digit conditions, sunshine. We will see sunshines, but temperatures next week, just to give you an idea, daytime highs of 2 degrees.
Ooh.
So like colder than what we're sitting this morning.
So
over your high.
I think at this point, looking at like the next few days, if you can over the next couple, maybe don't turn them on. You don't have to turn them on, but maybe start setting up the lights, because if you can do it in a little bit more mild weather, it's not as bad when you're freezing
Today's
outside.
the day. If you could put your Christmas lights up, I highly suggest it.
There you go, because you're in the double digits. I like that. All right, we're going to get to some breaking news for you right now. This morning, former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died. Cheney served with President George W. Bush after being elected in 2000 and re-elected in 2004. The former Halliburton executive was an influential member in Bush's cabinet, including taking on leading roles in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. He was known as the architect of the consequential war on terror. Cheney died Monday night due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease, according to a statement from his family. Dick Cheney was 84 years old.
The highly anticipated federal budget comes out today. It's Mark Carney's first since becoming prime minister. And here in the capital, public service workers are expressing concern about job security. The Public Service Alliance of Canada has warned about a reduction of 70,000 public sector jobs. The prime minister has said this will be a budget of austerity while promising generational investment. Where that money will come from to fund the investment is still not entirely clear. And until then, tens of thousands of government workers wait anxiously.
Definitely some cuts, it seems like, for the government at the federal level. I think the writing was on the wall before the election on that. I don't know what the severity is going to be. We have no real idea.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today, with the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority. They will need some support of the opposition members to pass it. If they don't get the support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. And a reminder that you can watch live coverage of the budget today, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
A centuries-old calligraphy album found in Vancouver basement has sold for a little more than $1 million at an auction in Toronto.
This album was once part of the Chinese emperor's royal collection. The auction house called it extremely rare, and it dates back 700 years.
The bidding price started at $15,000, but it ended up going for just over $1 million.
I wonder if it was quick, where it was like 15 grand, and then it was like 200,000.
Right.
Just had a slow time.
Incredible. Wow.
So cool.
Yeah. Well, we have an incredible day today, and then it's going to get a little cold and, yes, a little bit wet for tomorrow as well. Not as cold tomorrow, but cold into the weekend. Still sitting at 4 degrees here in Ottawa. We're seeing a mix of sun and cloud. Still could see some spotty showers in some areas, but for the most part, that has cleared up. Not too bad in terms of temperatures for early this morning. It will be a daytime high of only 2 degrees next week. So just to show you, the cold weather is on its way. Still some cloud coverage this morning, but we will see some sunshine throughout the day ahead. Now, as we head into our forecast models, it will stay clear for today, but tomorrow, different story. This is around 9 a.m. We are expecting periods of rain in the forecast, and you can see we are just on the edge between rain and some freezing rain and some snow. So areas to the north of us and to the west, don't be surprised if you see some snow and some freezing rain mixed into that rain tomorrow, especially in the early morning hours and then later on in the evening as temperatures hover around that freezing mark. On top of the sunshine for today and warm weather, we're going to see stronger winds, so some southwest winds gusting 30 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. So a little bit of a windy day in the forecast for us into your afternoon, but that's okay because the sun will be shining. Kids heading out to recess this morning into your afternoon. Temperatures not so bad, 7 and 8 degrees. It will warm up pretty quickly this morning. Mix of sun and cloud throughout your morning recess. More sunshine later on this afternoon. Daytime high of 10 degrees. Over the next couple of days, we're going to see a real shift in conditions in terms of temps. Temps much cooler next week. The periods of rain tomorrow, about 15 millimeters in total, clearing up for Thursday, but cooler with a high of only 5, mix of sun and cloud. Then into your weekend forecast. Overnight lows Saturday, Sunday, dropping below that freezing mark. Sunday, we could see some scattered showers changing to snow into the overnight. On your roads this morning, we have a handful of collisions. There is one on the eastbound 417 around Carling and Kirkwood. It has been cleared, but is still causing major delays in that area. Also, the 417 eastbound, we're seeing heavy backups between Pinecrest and Parkdale, a 25-minute delay in that section. 417 westbound, we're seeing congestion building between Hunt Club and Highway 174. Moderate backups between the 174 and the Vanier Parkway. And on the 174 westbound, seeing very heavy traffic between 10th Line and the Sir George Etienne Parkway. About a 10-minute delay being added onto your morning commute in that section.
Traffic brought to you by Presler Injury Lawyers. 1-800-JUSTICE.
This yearly campaign kicked off over the weekend.
The moustache is calling. Come together, grow together, raise funds, save lives.
Mental health and suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer. Movember is taking them all on. And we've got Catherine Corriveau. She is the Director of Policy and Advocacy for Movember Canada, and she joins us this morning to tell us how we can support this great initiative. Good morning to you, Catherine.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Listen, I remember when Movember started all those years ago, it was about prostate cancer. Now it's just taken on so much. It's grown. It's about mental health. It's about conversation. It's about, of course, your men's health. How are you tackling all of this? This has really grown, and it's really important too.
Yeah, well, you probably remember it happening a long time ago, 19 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
So it's been around for a while. And you know what? When we think about men's health today in 2025, there's a lot of big questions. I think one of them is what it means to be a man, which has changed a lot since we started as an organization almost 2 decades ago. But for us, you know, when we think about what makes a man healthy, there's a bunch of different variations that come into play, but there's a couple of key factors that play no matter what health issues we're thinking about, from sort of harmful masculinity norms that prevent men from talking, sort of health literacy gaps, but there's also, you know, an understanding that whatever the health issue, it has an impact on the men, on their community, on their loved ones. So we thought we would tackle the whole thing, the whole package.
I love that. I mean, I see you've got this book here, and it says The Real Face of Men's Health.
Yeah. So this is a report we just published in June, actually, in Canada. So we were trying to paint the picture, and please, paint the picture of men's health in Canada. So understanding, you know, how are they doing? How, you know, what are some of the challenges? With some of the opportunities? And a couple of the key findings is that too many men are dying too young in Canada, largely of preventable causes. You know, and in 2023, that was 75,000 men who died prematurely, so before the age of 75. You know, and this has an impact on them, on the economy, on our families, our caregivers, and you know, we want to make sure we're building the systems to adapt to this, and so this report sort of tackles this.
I just think that it's grown into such a very large movement, and now taking on studies and reports and revealing reports. It's so much more than just growing a mustache here. How can folks get involved?
Well, I will say growing your mo is still the best way to get involved.
Very cool.
So we encourage it, and it's never too late. So you can grow your mustache, you can move your body, you can sort of mow your own way if you want to climb a mountain and get people to fundraise with you. You can donate, you can host a moment. So there's a bunch of ways to get involved during the month. You can start today, you can start Movember 1st. So, you know, we all have a brother, cousin, a loved one, a father.
Yeah.
And this is for everyone.
It is. Okay, so Catherine, from this report, what were some of the most startling facts that really kind of raised an eyebrow with you that you feel that people should know about?
Yeah, well, I think that the level at which men are dying is really like 2 out of 5 men who won't make it to 75 in this country is a jarring number. You know, suicide is a huge problem for men. It's the second leading cause of death for men ages 15 to 44. It's also really expensive. It costs Canadian taxpayers $12.4 billion in 1 year.
Okay.
And so I think there's a real opportunity here to think about men's health as an opportunity for change and through systems change. So we're really excited to be you know, working with government around some of this now and to make sure that men's health is part of our agenda.
Okay, and we can get all that information, ca.movember.com.
Correct.
Great. This is really important stuff. Movember has begun. Catherine Corriveau, thank you very much for coming on and just bringing to light some of the stats there, the numbers that are quite startling as far as men's health is concerned. Thank you again.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Melissa.
Well, coming up on Your Morning Ottawa, what will today's federal budget have in store for homeowners and prospective buyers when it comes to mortgages? We'll dig into this topic with Frank Napolitano of Mortgage Brokers Ottawa coming up next. And Frank is standing by in our CTV Your Morning Ottawa Lazy Boy Lounge. We'll be having that conversation in just a few minutes. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam this morning. A bright sunny day for us here in the city today. Enjoy it. A high of 10 degrees this afternoon. Homeowners and prospective homeowners will be watching the budget very closely today in terms of what it could offer for us in terms of relief and hear what he would like to see. We have Frank Napolitano from Mortgage Brokers Ottawa. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. Big day.
Big day in terms of
Big day.
budget. What are your expectations in terms of budget and what you would like to see?
Well, we know that housing's forefront right now for all levels of government, the federal, provincial, and obviously the local governments here. But hopefully there's some little things in there for specifically for first-time home buyers. We'd love to see some benefits for first-time home buyers. We haven't heard of any yet, but we're hoping that they surprise us with something. You know, we saw that the Ontario government last week matched what the federal government's doing, where they're going to rebate the PST to first-time home buyers who buy from new builders. So I think that's a step in the right direction. As long as the federal one passes, they still have some details to give us on who qualifies as a first-time home buyer. Like traditionally for us, a first-time home buyer is either somebody who's never owned a home or someone who may have gone through a separation or a divorce. All of a sudden, they qualify now as a first-time home buyer to be able to withdraw money from an RSP plan. So we just need some more details, but there's some good signs. We just need more housing for sure, and we need it to be low cost so that young Canadians, at least that aspire to be homeowners, have some hope.
Any programs or incentives that you will be looking for in terms of when it comes to this budget?
Boy, we'd love to see the amortization increase to 35 years on the federal side. I mean, it would be nice for first-time home buyers to maybe have a 35-year mortgage as opposed to a 30-year mortgage to keep those payments down based on the fact that interest rates have gone up significantly from the COVID times. Now, if we look at interest rates today, you can get a 5-year mortgage in the high 3s. So it's not horrible. And if this was pre-COVID, it was normal.
Right.
But pre-COVID, the average home was $400,000. Today, it's $700,000. Right. So when the value of a home goes up that much and your mortgage goes up significantly, that lower interest rate certainly helps, especially with the cost of everything else being so expensive today.
And we know this is Mark Carney's first budget as Prime Minister. What are your expectations in terms of what you think he's going to offer?
Well, again, I mean, I think he's got to bring investment into Canada because our economy's, sluggish right now. Some would say that we might be in a recession. Certainly Canadians are feeling the pinch, and then on top of that, we've got so many Canadians that have their mortgages coming up in 2026 that have 1.49, 1.69, 1.79, and all of a sudden they're going to have to accept the fact that their interest rate is going to go up double. Their payments won't go up double. So I caution people who call me are all nervous. Oh my God, I can't afford double the payments. And payments will likely go up for the average Canadian anywhere between $300 to $500 a month, which is significant when the cost of living is as much as it is right now. But, he's got some work to do, certainly, to bring investment into Canada so that our economy hopefully hums along and we keep inflation down. And at the same time, we build some homes that people can move into and aspire, those who aspire to be homeowners
Right.
actually have hope to become homeowners.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and breaking it all down.
Always a pleasure.
Rosie.
Coming up on Your Morning Ottawa, we will check in with CTV News political analyst Eric Ham to discuss the passing of former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney. More on our top story just ahead. It is just 7:49. We're going to be right back with so much more. You're watching Your Morning Ottawa. Returning to our top story this morning, one of the most powerful and consequential vice presidents in U.S. history, Dick Cheney, has died at 84. We're going to bring in CTV News political analyst Eric Ham, who joins us live from Washington this morning. Good morning to you, Eric. Right off the bat here, you cannot think of a more powerful and upfront vice president in the U.S. than Dick Cheney. How would you describe Dick Cheney's legacy as U.S. vice president?
You're right. Not only was he perhaps the most powerful vice president in American history, he was also one of the most polarizing political figures of the 20th century. He was the architect of the war on terror, leading the United States into two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, both of which many believe are seen as colossal failures for the United States. In addition to that, he was not only a polarizing and very powerful figure, but he also was seen as a key figure within the Republican Party as well. He was someone who came into his own as chief of staff for Gerald Ford, former president, also becoming a congressman before moving on to become the vice president for George W. Bush. And he was someone also, we've seen this battle for the soul of the Republican Party. And given how towering a figure that Dick Cheney was seen as, in fact, many actually compared him to Darth Vader. He was seen as someone who was just all-powerful, all-knowing, but also someone who many believed was just deeply evil. And the fact that he was discarded, pushed out by Donald Trump and his MAGA base that took control of the party speaks to just the massive sea change that we saw just within a decade of Donald Trump's rise to power, and how over the final years of his life, Dick Cheney pretty much fell back into obscurity, removing himself from the party after epic battles with Donald Trump. And now we see that while his legacy will certainly endure and remain polarizing, he was just not someone who was able to have a voice, a face, and even a hand in the reshaping of the Republican Party. Such a massive, massive fall for someone who was seen as so consequential and so powerful at one time.
Eric, when it comes to international relations and the current global climate, how did Cheney's policy decisions have a lasting impact on the state of the world as we see it now?
I think both Cheney and Bush, because of what they executed during the global war on terror, not only did we see the approval rating of the United States fall to its farthest at any time in history, but also many of America's allies also began to distance themselves, particularly when you saw some of the torture renderings that took place at Guantanamo Bay, and how the United States began to treat prisoners of war, something that even went against the Geneva Conventions. And it took the Obama administration years to rebuild that trust, rebuild that relationship, even reaching its zenith of actually normalizing relations with Iran, which many would have thought was impossible. And now, particularly given where we are with relations now, you think that was a lifetime ago. And so, again, I think we have seen these ebbs and flows of how the United States has been able to be seen as a force for good, but also a force for really bad. given how Dick Cheney was able to orchestrate so many negative and unpopular policies. And much of that we're seeing actually play out right now with Donald Trump in the White House.
CTV News political analyst Eric Ham, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And here are your milestone celebrations for Tuesday, November 4th. And we're going to start off with a happy 13th birthday to Owen. Lots of love from Mom, sisters Emma, Rylan, and his Grammy. Have a great day, Owen. We have a happy 10th birthday to Scarlett. Love from Mom, Dad, Aurora, and Lucy. If you have a milestone, celebrate it with us. Send your birthday announcements for kids turning 13 years old and younger, and also for those turning 100 years or more. We also have wedding anniversaries for those celebrating 50 years or more. All you have to do, email us your Morning Ottawa milestones at ctv.ca, and we'll be sure to get your announcement on the air.
It's Tuesday, November 4th.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
Concerns about potential government cuts as Prime Minister Mark Carney tables his government's first budget.
Dick Cheney, one of the most powerful and consequential vice presidents in American history, has died.
And we get a taste of some delicious dumplings using unique, fresh ingredients. Your Morning Ottawa continues right now.
Good morning, just after 8 o'clock. Welcome. I'm Rosie Edden.
I'm Willie Ello.
And I'm Melissa Lamb. And now I'm hungry after teasing those delicious dumplings.
As soon as I saw that coming, I said, ooh, that's a nice tasty Tuesday morning. Some dumplings for the squad.
That's coming up just a little bit later, right?
That's right.
Okay, hopefully you guys will share.
That's of course, always.
Always. All right, we got to get to today's top stories with some breaking news. This morning, former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died yesterday. Cheney served with President George W. Bush after being elected in 2000 and re-elected in 2004. The former Halliburton executive was an influential member in Bush's cabinet, including taking on leading roles in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. He was known as the architect of the consequential war on terror. Cheney died Monday night due to complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. According to a statement from his family, Dick Cheney was 84 years old.
The highly anticipated federal budget comes out today, Mark Carney's first since becoming prime minister. And here in the capital, public service workers are expressing concern around job security. The Public Service Alliance of Canada has warned about a reduction of 70,000 public sector jobs. The prime minister has said this will be a budget of austerity while promising generational investment. Where that money will come from to fund that investment is still not entirely clear. And until then, tens of thousands of government workers wait anxiously.
Definitely some cuts, it seems like, for the government at the federal level. I think the writing was on the wall before the election on that. I don't know what the severity is going to be. We have no real idea.
I hope the cuts aren't as severe. I went through the 2012 workforce adjustment, so hopefully they're not as severe as that.
The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today, with the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority. They will need support of some opposition members to pass it. If they don't get that support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. And a reminder, you can watch live coverage of the budget today starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
Confusion over multiple different speed limits along Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard has many Orleans residents calling for change.
What we'd really like to see is the lanes narrowed to be able to actually do something to physically control the speed. We have a new roundabout in here, and you know, the signs say 30, but the road design also forces you to slow down.
Along the 7.5 kilometer stretch of Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard, speeds shift back and forth between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, including school zone changes that depend on the time of day. The city now wants to cut the number of speed zones in half, from 6 to 3, with consistent 40 and 50 kilometer an hour limits to simplify driving in the area. If approved, the new limits would be in effect at all times.
The candidates in New York City's mayoral race were making the final push ahead of today's election day.
We know the problems, but we also know the solutions.
Our time has come, New York. Our time is now.
The three main candidates are Democrat Zoran Mamdani, Republican Curtis Sliwa, and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is running as an independent. As candidates made their final pitch to voters yesterday, President Donald Trump urged New Yorkers to cast their ballot for Cuomo in an effort to defeat Mamdani.
Fireworks and drones lit up the night sky in Egypt over the weekend.
Oh, look at that. Egypt was celebrating the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum. It is described as the world's largest archaeological museum.
Packed with some 100,000 artifacts covering 7 millennium of the country's historic and pre-dynastic times of the Greek and Roman eras. So cool.
Yeah.
That display would be so awesome to see.
Stunning display. Look at that. Gorgeous.
All right. Speaking of stunning, is today officially our last somewhat stunning day?
I think so. I think it's the last potential day that we could climb into the double-digit temperatures, at least for quite some time, because we're not really seeing any more mild days above seasonal, at least in the long-range forecast. And next week is going to be quite a bit below seasonal. So temps right now sitting at 5 degrees. It's not so bad to start off your morning. 6 in Kingston, 4 in Brockville, 6 as well over Montreal, 2 now in the valley. So a little bit cloudy out there to start things off, but we will see that sunshine into the afternoon. For the most part, those showers have cleared up for today. However, as we head into tomorrow, more rain on the way. This is by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're expecting some rain, periods of rain lasting on and off throughout the day ahead. And this system bringing snow to some areas. You could see North Bay, they're seeing purple, this mix of freezing rain and snow. For us here in Ottawa, it will stay rain for the most part, but you could see a real mix. Some areas just to the north of us and just to the west of us could see some snow, freezing rain mixture into your day tomorrow. For us, it'll likely just stay into rain. Strong wind gusts still continuing into your afternoon today, so it will be sunny and warm, but still very windy. Southwest winds gusting 30 up to 50 kilometers an hour, so you could see some green and yellow. Everything will calm down later on this evening around supper time and then be much calmer into our skies overnight and into your day tomorrow. And over the next couple of days, you'll start to just see those temperatures gradually drop down until we'll be a little bit below seasonal into the weekend. 10 degrees is the high for today. Tomorrow, 15 millimeters of rain is what we could see. 8 degrees is the high, slowly getting cooler. Thursday, high of only 5. Will warm up Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, temperatures reaching highs of 3 and 2. Those are your daytime highs. Overnight lows below freezing, with overnight dropping down to -2 and -3 on Sunday. The roads have been a mess this morning. A collision on Anderson Road around Innes Road. Heavy traffic on Anderson between Desjardins Streets and Innes. On the 417 eastbound, we're seeing heavy backups between Moody and Parkdale, adding about a 30-minute delay. On the 417 westbound, we have moderate delays between Anderson and Nicholas, 15-minute delay. And on the 174 westbound, heavy traffic between 10th Line and the Sir George Etienne Cartier Parkway, adding about a 15-minute delay. Will.
And coming up next on Your Morning Ottawa, the Ottawa Canadian Film Festival kicks off at the Bytown this weekend, and we will be highlighting a feature from a local filmmaker coming up just ahead. You want to stay tuned for that. Peeking outside through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. See that beautiful blue skies and the sun poking through? Enjoy it while it's here. Our last day for the foreseeable future with a double-digit daytime high value. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We'll be right back. The Ottawa Canadian Film Festival kicks off this weekend at the Bytown with local films on the schedule.
Don't knock on my door again, or I will call the police. Do you think Mom saw it?
Well, we cook.
Very exciting. It Comes in Waves comes from an Ottawa filmmaker and includes an appearance by former CTV Your Morning Ottawa's host, Stefan Keys. We always love that. Here to chat about the film and the festival is the director, Fitch, and we got board member Ben joining us this morning. Good morning, my friends.
Morning.
First, I want to talk about the festival because this is so exciting. What can people expect this year?
Yeah, so we've got, I believe, 17 different short films, as well as our one feature film, which is Fitch's movie, from all over Canada. So all Canadian independent films. And yeah, I'm really excited to be part of presenting these. I'm going to be hosting Q&As with the filmmakers after each of the 3 screenings. And yeah, it should be really exciting.
And what goes into putting on something like this? Because it's so awesome, especially we can highlight some local talent and local filmmakers. Is that kind of the overall goal when you start thinking about putting this festival together?
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely a mix of like local and, elsewhere in Canada as well. I'm a local filmmaker myself, so it's really important to support other artists and kind of find opportunities to do that. One thing that we do is a portion of all the box office sales go to the filmmakers, which not all festivals do, and that's really important to us. We want to make sure that the filmmakers actually get paid and recognized for their work.
And if people are looking to check it out, what are the dates and times people can go? Because there's so many different ones that they can go and watch.
Yeah, for sure. So this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Thursday will be starting at 9 p.m. Friday will be at 7 p.m. and Saturday will be 9 p.m. as well. So all at the Bytown Cinema downtown.
Amazing. And Fitch, obviously looking at the film that you created, walk me through a little bit about the process. How did that one go?
Honestly, it was a journey. It was my first time making a feature film. I've made shorts before, but this was the longest project I ever had to work on. So it was grueling, learned a lot. I had the opportunity to work with so many people that were very invested in the project, but also very talented, and really excited to have this film finally show. It's at its Ottawa premiere for the home crowd.
And you talk about the difference, how you've made shorts before, but this is like the first feature. What were some of the things that you're going through that you were like, oh, we got to do this and like change it? Because that must have been, like you said, like a little bit of a wild difference. What were some of those things that you really noticed that needed a little bit more attention?
I mean, I would say the fact that this is a marathon and not a race, right? And so having more preparation, also pacing myself, understanding that working on a scene that might be on page 50, but we're shooting it right now, and in the next scene that's on page 51, we're shooting it 5 days later, and remembering to have the same kind of like pace and the same kind of emotions, but they're shot multiple days apart. So these are different things that you might not know that you're doing on a short, that you're doing on a feature, and just how long of a process it is, right? Like me and my writing partner, we wrote this film almost 5 years ago, and we're only showing it now. So it really takes time, but good things take time.
Yeah, and the best part about that is as you're trying, we're shooting scene 50 on day 1. You got Ben over here going, yeah, like he knows exactly what you're talking about with that process. Mm-hmm. Give us a little synopsis about the film and what people can expect.
Absolutely. So it's a coming-of-age story. It's about this family that moves to Canada from Rwanda following the Rwandan genocide. The story takes place 10 years following that, and it really focuses on the older brother and his relationship with his younger sister, trying to take care for her, but also trying to navigate life as an immigrant in Canada, trying to be a teenager, and also try to heal from his own trauma.
Oh, amazing. Congratulations, Fitch, from going from the short films to the feature film, because it does look like, I know you said obviously a lot of work and some challenges, but I can tell from your voice you definitely enjoyed the process. Absolutely. And I'm sure we can expect a lot more from you in the future.
Of course, of course.
Awesome. And Ben, thanks again for people expecting to maybe go check out the festival again. We've got it up on our website there. So again, thanks for joining us this morning.
Perfect. Thank you for having us.
All right, we're going to take a peek outside because it is the last day that we will see a full day of sunshine and double-digit temperatures. More rainfall potentially on the way. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Well, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew stirred up some controversy on Monday in denouncing a Supreme Court of Canada ruling on child pornography. Here's what the Premier said yesterday.
Child sexual abuse images and video, this is like one of the worst things that anyone can do. Not only should go to prison for a long time, they should bury you under the prison. You shouldn't get protective custody. They should put you into general population, if you know what I mean.
The High Court has ruled that 1-year mandatory minimum jail sentences for access or possessing child pornography are unconstitutional. Let's bring in Bill Carroll from the Morning Rush on News Talk 580 CFRA. Good morning to you, Bill.
Good morning. I wonder how many people took them literally there. I'm seeing the outrage everywhere, and I think, come on, people. You've heard this said about child molesters and others your entire life. People will say they should go to jail forever and don't put them in general population and let vigilante justice take its course. Does he literally mean that? I don't think he does. Is it an emotional sentiment that many Canadians share? You bet it is. Do we actually want to do that? No. But we're expressing our anger here. I don't know what is a more outrageous statement, the one you just heard from him, or the statement from the Supreme Court itself that somehow thinks that a 1-year minimum sentence for people who possess child pornography is cruel and unusual. Cruel and unusual. Child pornography. Look, I understand. Maybe somebody picked up your computer and they looked at child pornography. You didn't even know it was there. Well, that's called being found not guilty. But if you've been found guilty, if the courts have ruled that you are guilty, 1 year is not nearly enough. And I don't want to hear that viewing child pornography is not the crime. The person who created it should be the one who's punished. Well, everybody should. There's a market for it, and that's why people create it. So you're helping a child be hurt, a life be destroyed by making yourself part of the market for child pornography. That's worth at least a year in prison, I think, in my mind, and any rational Canadian's mind. What is the Supreme Court thinking? That's what we need to be asking ourselves today, not what is the Premier of Manitoba thinking. His words are totally understandable. The Supreme Court's words are kind of lost on most of us.
And I think, Bill, you made a good point there. This is for people that are guilty, not guilty if something happens. Have a great show, my friend.
Thank you.
And remember, you can listen to The Morning Rush with Bill Carroll on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 6 till 10 in the morning.
Well, it is time to double the love, and this month the Adult Fund Superstore has chosen the Ottawa Food Bank. So here from there is Trisha Johnson. Good morning to you.
Hi.
A busy time of the year for you guys.
Yes.
Talk a bit about this partnership because it's been ongoing for quite some time.
Yes. So every November we've been the fortunate beneficiaries of AFS is Double the Love campaign, and what they choose to do is they donate $1,000. They match. It's a matching donation campaign, and for us it really is such a great way to just let people know that no matter where you are, their donations are important and will help purchase food that's really needed by the community.
And I feel like, you know, every year we know the need is great, but this year it seems especially hard for Canadians and those living in Ottawa to make ends meet. How is the food bank really seeing a change in terms of services being used by people who live here?
Well, I think the number one thing is just that the need, as you mentioned, has just grown so much. So we have over 560,000 visits to our agencies across the city. That's since 2019, that is a 90% increase. So it really is hard for people on the front lines. People care a lot, and they really want to make sure that people who need access to fresh and healthy food have it.
And right now is the best time if you were thinking about making a donation, because if you make it to the Adult Fund Superstore, they match that donation. So it does go a little bit further.
Absolutely. Having community partners like this is so helpful, especially when we have them over several years. It builds familiarity, and it's just a really wonderful tradition of giving.
And let's just talk a little bit more about the need as we head into the holiday season for donations, and for not only monetary donations, but food items as well.
Absolutely. So whenever we're looking for food donations, non-perishable items that are always very helpful are things like peanut butter, canned tomatoes, canned fish, things that are really good for very healthy dinner items, something that really provides a lot of sustenance. And then with the monetary donations that we get, those things that you cannot easily donate inside a grocery bin, things like eggs, milk, bread, those are what we use a lot of our donations for, to make sure that they're distributed to food programs across the city.
And the nice thing is at the Adult Fund Superstore, if you make a donation to them, you don't need to make a purchase, which is not necessary to make a purchase, and your dollar gets doubled. And then for your food buying power, that's even more, because you guys have great food buying power with these monetary donations.
Absolutely. One of the things that we often say is that $4 is enough to provide a meal. So $1,000, I did the math.
Okay.
That's enough for 250 meals, which would support over 60 families.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's a good time to get those donations into the Adult Fund Superstore right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You're welcome. Here's a live look at our Centennial Glass Skycam this morning, and you can see it's a little shaky because of those wind gusts. We're seeing southwest winds gusting 30 up to 50 kilometers an hour into the afternoon.
I'm Rosie Edda.
Happy 8:30 on your Tuesday. I'm Will Aiello.
And I'm Melissa Lamb.
And what we do have for you is another delicious guest in our kitchen, which we've all been very excited for since about 5:45 this morning.
Absolutely. Dumplings. We won't tease you too longer, but we have some dumplings on set.
Oh, yeah, there it is. And they've got a full setup, just what the doctor ordered on your Tuesday morning.
Will, that's you, right?
That's me.
Coming up. Looking forward to that. But we're going to begin, first of all, with some breaking news. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died. Cheney served with President George W. Bush after being elected in 2000 and re-elected in 2004. The former Halliburton executive was an influential member in Bush's cabinet, including taking on leading roles in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. He was known as the architect of the consequential war on terror. A statement from his family says Cheney died Monday night from complications of pneumonia and cardiovascular disease. Dick Cheney was 84 years old.
Prime Minister
Mark Carney and Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne will table their first budget today. CTV's chief political correspondent Vashi Capello stopped by this morning to elaborate on what Canadians can expect when it comes to cuts.
Are you looking at more than attrition, for example, to get there? Are you looking, they keep using the word workforce adjustment, like what kind of workforce adjustment does that look like? Is it just incentivizing people to retire early, or is it actually eliminating jobs?
And Minister Champagne yesterday took part in the pre-budget tradition of buying a new pair of shoes. Heading into Budget Day, the Liberals have said there will be a focus on investment. This means the deficit should stay high. Prime Minister Mark Carney has also talked about making sacrifices, which suggests spending cuts are coming. The budget will be released at 4 p.m. today, and with the Liberal government 3 seats shy of a majority, they will need support of some opposition members to pass it. If they don't get that support, Canadians could be heading to the polls once again in December. A reminder, you can watch live coverage of the budget today starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on CTV News Channel and ctvnews.ca.
Confusion over multiple different speed limits along Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard has many Orleans residents calling for change.
What we'd really like to see is the lanes narrowed to be able to actually do something to physically control the speed. We have a new roundabout in here, and the signs say 30, but the road design also forces you to slow down.
Along the 7.5-kilometer stretch of Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard, speeds shift back and forth between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, including school zone changes that depend on the time of day. Now the city wants to cut the number of speed zones from 6 to 3, with consistent 40 and 50 kilometer an hour limits to simplify driving in the area. If approved, the new limits would be in effect at all times.
Down at City Hall, there are concerns about the big figure it will take to complete Lansdowne 2.0. The Auditor General is warning that the contract won't cover unforeseen costs. The project will cost $419 million, but the city is only budgeting $36 million for contingencies to cover possible tariffs on steel and aluminum or supply chain disruptions. The Auditor General saying if this risk was to materialize, it could require the city to take on additional debt. But Ottawa Mayor Mark Sutcliffe continues to say this is a good deal.
At this point, I don't see any reason why we should not proceed with Lansdowne 2.0. It's a better deal for taxpayers than it was a year ago, than it was 2 years ago. It's a huge opportunity, and it is much, much better for taxpayers than doing nothing. We have a responsibility to make tough decisions on behalf of the people of Ottawa and protect their interests.
All of this comes only days before the final Lansdowne 2.0 vote on Friday.
A 34-year-old resident of Kingston is facing several charges after a drug trafficking investigation. Officers executed a search warrant at a home on Ford Street last week. Police arrested one person and seized cash, crystal meth, LSD, and other illegal drugs.
The candidates in New York City's mayoral race were making the final push ahead of today's election day.
We know the problems, but we also know the solutions.
Our time has come, New York. Our time is now.
The three main candidates are Democrat Zoran Mamdani, Republican Curtis Sliwa, and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is running as an independent. As candidates made their final pitch to voters yesterday, President Donald Trump urged New Yorkers to cast their ballot for Cuomo in an effort to defeat Mamdani. Tributes are pouring in for three-time Oscar nominee Diane Ladd, who died yesterday in California.
Honey, I sure would hate to have breakfast with you every morning of my life.
Ladd had a long career on stage and TV before her Oscar-nominated role in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. She earned another Best Supporting nod for Wild at Heart in 1990. A year later, Ladd and Laura Dern became the only mother-daughter duo to receive Oscar nominations for the same film, Ramblin' Rose. In a statement, Dern wrote, "We were blessed to have her. She is flying with her angels now."
If you think commuting is scary, you should check out the ghost stations in Spain.
To celebrate its 100-year anniversary, the Barcelona metro system opened 2 abandoned subway stations to the public.
Creepy. Both are no longer in service and are rumored to have a haunted past. City authorities say opening the stations is a way to remember the city's history.
I go here, I hear 2 different mms to my left.
I'm like, ooh, I could not do this. This is too creepy.
I would love to. You know what? It's so cool, too. It's like you open up something like that where people would want to go, and then you hear, oh, of course, there's a haunted past in the abandoned subway system.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm out. Nothing spooky for me.
Spooky season's over. You're good. You're clear.
Yeah. Thankfully, I love the holly jolly season. Today's daytime high is 10 degrees. Average for this year is around 8, so we'll just be a little bit above that. And, of course, the sun will set tonight. 4:45 p.m. So yes, very, very early, meaning our days are super short. Currently sitting at 5 degrees right now, so not a bad start to your morning temperatures. Fairly mild to kick off your Tuesday. We're seeing some sunshine out there, so spotty showers possible earlier this morning. For the most part, that has cleared up, and we will see sunshine throughout the day ahead. Now, as we head into tomorrow, that's when it will change slightly, as we are expecting scattered showers starting early in the morning. This is about 9-10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and periods of rain then lasting into the afternoon. You can see the system just kind of hovering around us, and if you notice that pink band and that purple, that is some snow. So in the overnight tomorrow, some areas very close to us, just to the north and just to the west, could see some freezing rain or some snow mixed in there as well. For us, for the most part, it looks like we will just see rain all day tomorrow, and then kind of into your overnight as well. Periods of rain, about 15 millimeters in total. Today, it will be a little bit windy. We saw our cameras earlier shaking, and that's because we're seeing these winds gusting out of the west, 30 to 50 kilometers an hour. That's the green and yellow on your screen. It will calm down around supper time tonight, so the wind conditions will die down later on this evening and be much calmer into our overnight and into our skies tomorrow as well. Over the next 7 days, we're really going to see a shift in temperatures into the weekend and next week, below seasonal. 10 is the high for today. Again, those showers have cleared up into your day tomorrow. Periods of rain, about 15 millimeters in total, a high of 8 degrees. 1 is the overnight low, and so that's why some areas which will drop down below that freezing could see that freezing rain mixed in with some snow. Likely just rain for us here in the city. Clearing up on Thursday with a mix of sun and cloud. Friday slightly warmer, but still a little bit below seasonal. Then the weekend, quite cool for your weekend forecast. Temperatures in the low single digits for your daytime high. Overnight lows below that freezing mark. And Sunday, if we see some scattered showers in the evening, likely will change to some flurries into the overnight as temps drop to -3. Monday, cool, a daytime high of only 1 degree.
Weather brought to you by Yeckendorf Rashid. Experience, knowledge, and a commitment to excellence.
And roads have been a mess out there this morning. A collision, Anderson Road around Innis. It has been cleared, but it is still causing delays in that area. 417 eastbound, very heavy backups between Moody and Parkdale. There's about a 35-minute delay. 417 westbound, also heavy traffic between Anderson and Innis. Seeing heavy delays between the 174 and Bronson. 174 westbound, heavy traffic between 10th line and the Sir George Cartier Parkway, and adding a 15-minute delay.
Oh, we've been excited for hours this morning. In your kitchen, I'm joined by Baitron and Rong from Dumpling. And we have not 1, not 2, 3, 5, 600 plates, which is just what we want this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning to the two of you.
Morning.
Good morning.
So before we get into the delicious food, which of course we're going to go into, and a little demo, tell me a little bit about the restaurant.
So we built this restaurant at the beginning. We just want to share the most authentic and juicy, fresh flavor that we grew up with. And dumpling is one of the one of our culture, and it's represent happiness, family bonding, and celebration.
I love that. Well, there's no question of how it brings everyone together just by the food alone, and I love the culture aspect as well. What kind of
food?
And what kind of separates, would you say, like the dumplings from like having that authentic, like nice taste separates you from the rest?
Yeah, the dumpling we make, we have the traditional flavor, which is pork and chive. And we also have the chicken and shiitake mushroom. And for the beef, we have a beef and coriander. That's a traditional dumplings. And we also, since we also want to be creative, so we made the general tao chicken and pork and kimchi, and also the beef and curry onion dumpling. We also have vegetarian and vegan options made of cabbage, shiitake mushroom, and vermicelli. We have 4 different ways to make the dumpling, like pan fry, deep fry, steam, and water boil. And beside the dumpling, we have some delicious appetizers. Yeah, we have tender beef shank. We have a refreshing cucumber salad, and if you like spice, we also have the wanting spicy peanut sauce.
You're saying all the right things. I mean, everything that you were saying, well, I'll kind of try that. Oh, never mind, I'll try that.
Yeah.
So out of yours, all the ones you have here, what's the top fave for you?
I would personally recommend the cucumber salad and the wonton spicy peanut sauce. Those are the must-haves of our restaurant. And also the vegan option is very popular as well.
I love that. Okay, we got a little demonstration here because we got to put you to work just to see how this is all created. Can you walk me through a little bit of what we're doing?
Of course. So I want to mention that everything from our store is made from scratch. Every morning we make fresh flour dough. This is one of that. And we start by rolling the flour dough. I'll take a little piece. And we'll try to make a circle of it. Would you like to try, by the way?
I can, but you have to give me proper judgment here, okay? My skills are at a low 4.
Let me cut another piece for you. So I will take some of the dry flour to get it not sticky. Right, and then we press it. And I'm using my flattening pin, the rolling pin. I'm flattening the wrappers. And meanwhile, I'm rolling it. I'm like trying to twisting it to get like a round
shape. And so that the inner part is a little thicker and the edges are a little thinner, so that it holds the fillings perfectly, but still give you the soft and the chewy texture.
Got it. So you want a little bit more thicker in the middle, lighter on the outside.
All right. Would you like to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna roll one for you.
That's probably for the best. Yes. Would probably destroy it,
well,
right?
I'm not the best at this art, but yeah, you want to try?
Yeah,
There
of
you
course.
go.
What about a square dumpling if I created that? Would that still be okay?
Yeah, of course, definitely. We're being creative today. Okay, so 1 scoop of the, today we're using the pork and chive filling, and just put a little and put it in your thumb, trying to make a little circle of it.
So, because we don't want to get to the edges, right?
We're leaving the edges so that we can wrap them.
Less meat next time.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that.
I went way too much.
That's a big dumpling.
Okay.
All right, and so everybody have a different style for wrapping it, and what I use is called a pinch and squeeze technique. You can fold it in half, and we can do a pinch, 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 pinch to seal the edges, right? Yeah, that's a little.
I got a little too much. Hey, not too bad though. Look at that.
You can have some flavors on the outside.
There we go.
So now you have a rookie dumpling.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I would take these 2 edges
Okay.
and using my thumb to kind of squeeze it. So that you can have like a round belly. But it's a perfect dumpling.
We just have to show the catastrophe that is this dumpling.
It's fine. It's a perfect
still
dumpling.
delicious.
Yeah, that's still the delicious.
It's gonna taste good. That's the gooders. There we go.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So we can put it over here.
And then, and on the other side here, this beautiful.
But
Look at that.
it's still gonna be very delicious and juicy.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the finished product, that looks like something that we have over here. Which one would we be making?
I would like to introduce our newly launched dessert dumplings. In our restaurant, we would love to get creative and have fun.
Okay.
And we now have the dessert ones. So currently we have 3 flavors. We have this one is the rich chocolate and mochi. This one is creamy taro coconut.
Okay.
And we have a special Halloween fall season ones, the pumpkin spice ones.
Oh, I like that.
You can have them either steamed or deep fried. So you can have your dessert dumpling either chewy and soft or golden and crispy.
And are there any gluten-free options here? Which ones? Melissa? Come on over here. We gotta have my co-host have one option.
So all of our dumplings that are made of flour dough, those unfortunately we have gluten in it.
Okay, so
but the beef shank, the cucumber salad, and I would highly recommend if you can take the spring roll, you can dip it into our peanut sauce if there's no allergy at all.
Okay.
And yeah, those 2 and this one must have.
You choose which one. I'm gonna go for.
I had the cucumber salad earlier. I was like, I heard that. I was like, that sounds delicious.
And this is the dumpling I'm going for.
Oh, is that the pork one?
Oh, we have a dipping sauce if you want.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little chili oil and vinegar in it.
Go for it. And I'll get to try this. Is it spicy?
Oh, just a little garlicky.
Oh, a little garlic.
Oh, that's
soy
good.
sauce, garlicky.
Awesome. Just wanted to appreciate you guys so much for having us in. We got your place up there. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us here.
And if you want to come on our show in Your Morning Kitchen, you can email us at yourmorningottawa@ctv.ca, and we would be so happy to have you. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Welcome back. I have Natalia Yatskowski and Madeline Dorian. They are here to talk about Climax, a sexual wellness conference happening here in the city. Good morning to you both. Okay, so Madeline and Natalia, let's talk about this, because a lot of times when I almost started the rap song. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. There you go, right? We're talking about sexual wellness, not just the recreational form of sex here. Why did you want to start this conference?
For sure. We're both local sex educators, and we've been collaborating on events for years, hosting anything from comedy nights, game nights, dance parties, educational workshops for adults, and we've seen firsthand how these events can really help empower people in their sexual lives. And so Climax is really an extension of that.
Yeah, and to build on that, it's built on this foundational belief that sex education for adults should be ongoing, continuous, lifelong, because the truth is that as we age, our preferences change, our bodies change, and our questions don't end. They only become more complex, and we know that a lot of people feel stuck in their sex lives and they don't really know quite how to take action, and going to see a sex therapist might feel like too big or intimidating. This is an alternative solution. It's a very warm, welcoming space to be curious, to come explore and learn, and potentially acquire some new skills.
Okay, who can take part in the conference? Who can benefit from it?
Anyone can benefit. Climax is for anyone over the age of 18, and it's a very open space. You can come with your partner, with your friends, your sibling, your coworker if you want to. We're really creating a safe space that recognizes that sex is a part of wellness, and it is okay to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for anyone that wants to inject novelty into their sex lives, or anybody that's just going through a season of change and it's impacting their libido. For example, maybe you're a new parent, or maybe you're managing a chronic illness or a new injury, or perhaps you're just going through a new life change like menopause.
Yes.
Or perhaps you're somebody like me. I was somebody who was married for a while, and I was having a lot of sex, and it wasn't pleasurable for me, and I was so confused and so ashamed because I didn't know what was wrong. I thought something was wrong with me. I would have loved a conference like this for a younger Natalia to have gone, to learn that there is so much more to sex than what I was led to believe.
Natalia and Madeline, that's the thing about conversation, opening things up, because a lot of times people feel without that conversation, without that discourse surrounding sex and sexual wellness, you feel like you're alone. If you're experiencing something that you feel like not a lot of other people are. This conference helps to expose those different approaches to sex.
Yes, having conversations in an open, fun, approachable, comfortable
I like that word, fun.
Environment.
Yeah.
Yes, it really helps to just normalize and destigmatize the things that we were led to believe. You know, quote unquote, what sex should look like. What is quote unquote normal.
And gathering in community is so powerful because again, you see you're not alone.
Yeah. You know, you say that Ottawa is really leading the way with this type of sexual wellness conference.
It's a really exciting moment for Ottawa. You know, we've seen that. Look, we think this is something that's totally new in Ottawa, Ontario, and possibly
we
Canada.
Think in Canada. We haven't seen it anywhere else in Canada in the landscape of sex conferences, because either sex conferences are really sensationalizing sex and making like shock value, come if you dare, or it's highly academic and it doesn't really trickle down to the general population.
So we wanted to normalize these conversations and create a space that just feels comfortable and fun.
I think that that's it, and I really picked up on that word fun, and I do love that comfortable too. Nothing is taboo here. Open conversations, Climax Sexual Wellness Conference, and it's expert-led talks and panels and workshops. It's so wonderful. November 8th happening, and that is wonderful. Got to thank you, Natalia and Madeline, for coming by.
You so much.
Let the conversation continue on surrounding sexual wellness.
Thank you
so
Thank
much.
you.
We hope to see folks out there.
There you go. Thank you both so much. All right, we're taking a look outside. Look at all that gorgeous sunshine on George Street. You're watching Your Morning Ottawa. We'll be right back after this short break.
Are you tired of being tired? Join us for Sleep Week, where we'll break down the top ways to get your best rest and help you wake up feeling refreshed.
Sleep Week on CTV Your Morning Ottawa. Weekdays, brought to you in part by Ontario's Sleep Care.
Hey, Ottawa, know someone who secretly makes our city amazing? We want to hear about them.
You know, the kind of person who goes above and beyond without ever asking for anything in return.
Because Move 100, CTV, and Lazy Boy want to give them a huge shout-out.
We're searching for Ottawa's unsung heroes, the everyday people doing extraordinary things. Nominate someone for a chance to win them a $5,000 Lazy Boy gift card.
Nominate your local hero today.
Let's celebrate those who make Ottawa a better place.
8:56. It's been a busy show. Here's a look at what's coming up tomorrow. The Public Service Alliance of Canada will react to today's budget announcement and how it impacts public service jobs in Canada. The Metcalf Farmers Market is bringing its annual Christmas market back. We get a preview in studio, and we are paging Dr. Paul to talk about the importance of getting a good night's sleep.
Well, it is our sleep week here, and Melissa, you were jotting down some notes from our guest today.
Taking down all the notes because sleep has been something we haven't been getting a lot of at our house lately. 10 degrees is your high for today's sunshine, mix of sun and cloud throughout the day ahead. A beautiful day. Enjoy it, because once we get over the next couple of days, those double-digit temperatures are coming to an end after today. 8 for tomorrow, periods of rain, 5 on Thursday, sunshine. And then next week, just to go to show you how cold it's going to get, highs of 1 degree on Monday. Like, that's going to be our high. We're not even that cold this morning. So temperatures just going woo.
We always have those hard turns. It's never just like a nice, steady
gradual
upward decline.
A couple days of 8 degrees. No, it's like goes from 10 to 1. It's like, that's too drastic.
With snow on Sunday.
Oh, boy. That's all from us here at CTV Your Morning. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Take good care.